In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at Darth Vader, based upon his appearance from the final duel in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. So this is an action figure that I've been anticipating for a long time now. I actually just got him in the mail today at the time I'm recording this video, and after opening him up, he definitely met my expectations, and I'm very happy to have him in my collection. I think Hasbro kind of missed the ball on certain things with this one, and it's ridiculous. It's been almost 2 years now since the series premiered, maybe about a year and a half, 2 years, and we're just now finally getting this Vader. I understand that Hasbro probably didn't know about this specifically until after the series premiered, and this kind of falls back into Lucasfilm and Disney as well. It's like, man, you really need to start telling Hasbro about this stuff, that way it can be released, maybe not before the episode premieres, but at least within a month or two afterwards. At least we're finally getting this in hand, and I'm happy to have it. I would like to get all 3 scales of it with a TBC figure, which I don't have yet. I do plan to get at some point, but it's not really a high priority. Of course, the 6-inch one here, and I'm debating about the Hot Toys figure. It looks so good, and we'll see about that. I'm leaning either between that one or the Return of the Jedi Vader, and I have reasons for both. This one obviously looks really cool, and we see Anakin underneath with the dark side appearance. However, the Return of the Jedi Vader has the full face underneath, and part of me is more drawn to that instead of just seeing one side of his face, basically. So what else can I say about this? It was a Target exclusive, but I got this through eBay. I don't have a Target near me, and I haven't shopped at a Target in a long time, so anytime an action figure is Target exclusive, more often than not, I'm probably going to be getting it on eBay or some comic book shop or something like that. So, and that's another point as well, is why is this figure a Target exclusive? I would think it should be a mainline release. Hasbro's got to know this would be a high demand action figure, and yeah, it just doesn't make sense. And one other thing I'll mention real quick is I wish action figures like this for Vader, for instance, Hot Toys is doing it, but TBC and 6-inch is not. I wish it included an alternative helmet, so that way you can do a normal helmeted Vader, and then you could switch between that and this one if you desire. I think that would give a little bit more value for our money, especially since this action figure was like, what, $26.99 minimum? And I know in other countries it's going to be far more than that. So I think that would be a nice compromise, I suppose, to include the 2 helmets instead of just have the one. Of course, even if, like, let's say this is the first Vader in your collection, you're going to have to get a second one just to have a normal helmeted Vader, while you can do 2 in 1, basically. And the price is basically accommodating for that. But still, all that aside, I'm happy to have this for my collection, and I'm going to be proudly displaying it. So we'll just go ahead and take a look at the package here first. So this is Darth Vader, Duel's End, Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think this is the first Obi-Wan oriented Black Series action figure I've gotten. Nice image of Vader there during that final duel. And then the description on the back here. Let's see what Anakin Skywalker has become. Yeah. This is figure number 15. We've got quite a few figures from this show, actually. That's pretty much all the package. Of course, now we've pretty much transitioned completely away from the windowless packaging. At least I hope so at this point. So it's nice that you can see the action figure. Well, let's just take a closer look at this guy. So obviously the main draw about this action figure is the helmet. The rest of it is basically just a retool or a repaint in some way. I imagine the only really new parts about this Vader is just the chest plate here and then the helmet. So really impressed with how that gash in the helmet has turned out. It's broken apart in a way where it looks like it's been burned and chipped away, and almost like someone did this on their own as like a custom instead of it being an official Hasbro product, and turned out really nice. You can see that runs pretty much all the way to the back of his skull there. And it does have a little bit of a different color along the edges there, which makes sense, kind of like where the saber burn would be. So you can, there is a full Vader / Anakin head underneath that Hasbro sculpted out, and it's totally painted. I have seen some samples where people have said that the helmet wasn't glued on properly and they were able to take their helmet off. I haven't really done an honest attempt of it, and I don't really want to because I don't want to risk potentially breaking the helmet apart. But so far mine seems to be in place pretty good. But if you're big into customizing, that is an option for you, where you are able to take this helmet off. The TVC figure I know does have it where the helmet comes off and it's meant to come off, but not in the case for the Black Series figure here. But there is an entirely sculpted head underneath. So you can see the scarring on what was once Anakin. I think on the eye there, it's really hard to see, but it kind of has the Sith eyes there a little bit. And what's fun about figures like this is you can have his head tilted to one side and you think, oh, it's just a normal Vader, and then you just flip it over and it's like, oh, you know, that's really neat. Then the other new part about this is his chest box there, which has a slash through it. It makes you wonder how he survived. I guess the power of the dark side pretty much kept him alive during this moment. Because I would doubt his controls would really function unless the ones on his belt here have anything to do with it. And his robe, or his cape here, is a little bit customized as well. You can see it's kind of cut up at the edges there at the bottom, and then it has this large cut in the back of here. Personally, I think it would have been better to take like the Force Unleashed approach, where the cape would only be about half length and then it'd be totally ripped up at the edges there. I think that would have looked a lot better. Instead, in this way, it just kind of looks like a normal cape for Vader, basically, and then they just cut some holes in it. But still, not too bad. So he has his armor there, and he has a shoulder armor, which is all in black, and his robes are underneath his belt and armor here. As far as his gloves are concerned, and his hands, they're both sculpted in basically a trigger pose, not so much like a force choke pose. But you can hold the lightsaber in both hands if you wanted to. And for his legs, it's typical Darth Vader. Really nothing to say about that. It is an older style legs because it has the 2 pins here. In terms of the articulation, he does have basically I'm not sure if it's a dumbbell or a ball joint at the head. I would say it's probably more the dumbbell category, but pretty good range of motion. He does have the hinge at the shoulders, which the shoulder armor will go underneath here, so you can get a good range of motion out of that. He does have the hinge at the elbows, which does go past 90 degrees, which is nice. He has hinge wrists, which, yeah, this one goes up and down, and what's that one do? Kind of hard to tell sometimes. I think up and down as well. So both wrists go in the same motion. It does have a hinge at the torso, then hinge hips, swivel thigh, and then double hinge at the knees, and then the rocker ankles. Weapons and accessories, he just comes with the standard Darth Vader lightsaber. Absolutely nothing new about this at all. And he does have a clip on his belt to where you'll be able to put that. You just take the blade out and put it right there, and it stays in place pretty good. Seems kind of unnecessary with this figure though, because after a battle like that, is Vader really going to be clipping his lightsaber on his belt? I would think he's just carrying it. It makes me wonder too, is what was the aftermath of this battle for Vader? Did he get on his shuttle, and then maybe some Imperial officer saw him without his helmet or something like that? Be an interesting story to tell. And if anyone did see Vader without his, or see what Vader looks like underneath the helmet, did Vader just act like nothing? Be an interesting backstory. One other thing I would like to do real quick is I want to see if the tooling for this helmet, or the sculpt of the helmet, is the same as any previous Vaders. And I think the one that would be most closely resembled to that is this A New Hope Vader here, which was released in the 40th anniversary of A New Hope. And I have to admit, it's kind of hard to tell if they're a reuse from one another. I'm leaning towards they would be. This helmet is much more glossy compared to this one, which this one's obviously accurate to New Hope. But oftentimes with the Obi-Wan Darth Vaders that have been released, it seems like they're reusing a lot of A New Hope Vaders for that. As far as the chest box is concerned, obviously that's a new sculpt. But what about the controls on his belt here? Looks like it's pretty much the same exact thing. Yeah, so that kind of leads me to believe that this is just a retooled A New Hope Vader with just some slight differences, obviously with the gash, and then more of a glossy helmet. And obviously the silver around his mouth, or his breathing apparatus there, is a lot more prevalent compared to this one. So that's pretty interesting. And let's see if we can get him in a nice pose here. See if that will actually stay. Yep, just barely. Yeah, that looks really nice. So would I recommend this Vader for your collection? You know, it's a very nice Darth Vader. But for the price and for the very scene-specific nature behind it, I would say it comes down to your personal preference. If you're wanting one Darth Vader for your 6-inch collection, I would say go with either this one or the Empire Strikes Back Vader. Obviously, you're going to want one with a full helmet instead. This is definitely more of a niche Vader for someone that has multiples in their collection. But if you're a big fan of Darth Vader and you really want this, or you're halfway interested in owning this, then I would say yes, I think this is one you should own for your collection. However, it's getting kind of pricey at this point. Even for me, I paid a little bit above retail for it, and I figured at this point I'm probably not going to get it for much less. So for being these days, I'm seeing it going like the $40 or $50 range. It's definitely not worth that price unless you really want it. However, you're probably not going to find it for much cheaper than that at this point unless it gets a re-release or a repack of some sorts, which for this particular type of Vader, I don't know if that's going to happen. So if you're halfway interested or you are fully interested in owning this for your collection, then yes, it's a very nice Vader to have. If you're just looking for one Vader for your collection, I would suggest looking for one of the other ones. Well, overall, it's a very nice action figure. I think Hasbro could have improved on some parts about it and maybe done some other things different about it. But overall, I'm happy with it and I'm glad to own this in my collection. But anyways, that concludes this review. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for plenty more reviews in the future. There will always be lots more to come. If you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I always greatly appreciate all your support. And check out some links in the description if you have not done so already. And as always, thanks for watching.